Hello and welcome to another Learn tutorial. In this tutorial I'm going to teach you how you can use Python and the curses module to create a terminal based version of the classic Nokia snake game. It's a great little game. All you're going to do is just move the snake around, go eating up the little apples, which in this case is our asterisks, and just don't eat yourself and don't crash into a wall. Okay, good. Well, let's get started. So the first thing you're going to need to do is create yourself a new file called snake.py. And once you've created snake.py, you can then start to add in the modules that we're going to need. We only need two modules here. We need the curses module, which is the module that is going to do all the clever stuff, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And we're going to need the random module so that we can find random places to place the apples. Random is pre-installed in Python. Curses is only pre-installed on Linux. So if you want to use it on Windows, then you'll need to do pip install curses in order to get curses up and running. Okay, so let's get started. So in order to create our game, we're going to create a new function, and our function is going to be called game because that's our main game. And it's going to take one argument, which is the standard screen. There we go. std standard screen. There we go. Good. And all of our code is going to go inside of here, which is great. But in order to run that code, run the actual game function, we're going to have to, right at the end of our program, we're going to have to run it. Now, normally we'd do something like game, something like that. But today what we're going to do is we're going to use a curses wrapper to run it. So what we do, just slightly different, curses wrapper, and we put the function name in there. So right at the end of the program, which is going to be right down at the bottom down here, we're going to call the curses wrapper, and we're going to give it the function that we want it to start the game. The reason we do that is curses does some pretty clever stuff. So it hides the flashing cursor that we normally have. And it also, every time you press a key, it hides the key inputs. So that obviously when we're playing our game, we don't want to see the key presses appearing on the screen. We just want to move our snake. So it does both of those things, but if your game crashes halfway through, then your terminal will then have no cursor and you won't be able to see what you're typing, which you probably don't want. So you'd have to restart the terminal. What the curses wrapper does is if your game ends or it crashes, it just runs a little bit of code that fixes all of that so you don't have to restart your terminal. Okay, good. So let's get creating our main screen. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to hide that cursor as we said before. So curses.curseSet. And we're going to set to 0, which means hide the cursor. Then what we're going to do is we're going to define how big, how high, and how wide our square of our game is going to be. So here we're going to have a height of 20 by 30. There we go. So that is 20 rows high by 30 columns across. There we go. That's going to be the size of my square box inside of the full terminal. And we're also, in order to calculate and put it right in the middle so that it appears here in the middle of the screen rather than appearing up here at the top, we're also going to have to work out where we need to put it. So for that, we need to work out, we need to find out the terminal height and the terminal width. And we can do that now by doing terminal height, terminal width equals, and we go to this std_scr thing that we just imported there. We've just taken as the parameter, and we use the get max yx. Get max yx. Yx, can't type today. There we go. Just be careful, it's get max yx, not get max xy. And that will then go and get the height and the width of the console and put them into here. The h and the w will be variables containing the actual full height. Now that we've got the full height of the screen and the height of the box that we want to draw in it, now what we need to do is we need to calculate the coordinate of the beginning of the box, this corner here. What is that coordinate? Well, in order to calculate that, that's not too difficult. We can just do a bit of maths. So we can say, okay, the starting y is going to be the terminal height minus the height of our box divided by 2. There you go. And that will get the top left coordinate. And then we can do the same thing for the x. So the start x coordinate for our box is going to be the terminal width minus the width of the box divided by 2. Now notice that we're using floor division here, and that's because if this if the width that we get, the coordinate that we receive, let's say for instance the width of the screen is I don't know, 55 or something, if you divide that by 2 you're going to get 27.5, I believe. So that's no good. We can't use a 0.5 in coordinates. We need a whole number. So floor division just discards the 0.5, discards the remainder. Okay, so now we have calculated the top left position of our box. And what we can do now is we can move into the main part of the outer game loop. This outer game loop is the loop that runs once before each time, each round after we've lost and it's game over. So this is the outer loop that will keep running until you quit. So what we're going to do in the outer loop, well, nice and simple. First thing we're going to do is we're going to create ourselves a new window. So we do cursors dot new win. There we go. Create ourselves a new window, and we just tell it, okay, our new window is going to be H for the height, W for the width. So that's the size of the box that window we're going to draw. And then this start X and Y, or start Y, comma, start X is where it's going to be drawn at. So this is the size of the window that's going to be drawn, and this is the coordinates of the window that's going to be drawn. Good, okay. Oh, now what we also do is we want to make sure that if we've got the keypad on our keyboard, then we need to enable the keypad to be used as arrow keys for Snake. And we also want to set a timeout for our game. Now I'm going to set the timeout at 500 milliseconds, which means that every 500 milliseconds something is going to happen, or sooner. I'll talk about that in a minute because it behaves slightly stranger than normal. Okay, so and we also want to draw the border. Doing win.border gives us this lovely white border around the screen, and with just one line of code that will do it straight away. So that's quite good. Win.border, excellent. Good, so now we've got the border. There we go. Let's move on to setting up our snake. So in order to set up our snake, the first thing we need to do is give it some coordinates. Now for my snake, I'm going to have it starting in the middle of the screen here. So I need to set the coordinates here, which are going to be, well, if that's 30, then it's going to start at 14. And if that's 20, then it's going to start at 10. So my coordinates, 10 by 13 is the first bit of my snake. And then 10 by 14 will be the second piece of my snake. And then 10 by 15 will be the third piece of my snake. So that will draw a snake at the start that will be 3 long. There we go. Good. So there's our snake. And we also need to say, okay, at the start of the game, if the player doesn't press anything, then we want to set it off in a direction even though they've not pressed anything. So we can say direction equals cursors dot key right. There we go. So it'll automatically start moving in towards the right. So now we've got our snake just about set up, ready to put on the board. What we need to do now is we need to add our food to the screen. So in order to add our food to the screen, we need to pick a random location for it. So we can do random.randint, and we need to pick a number between 1 and because we're going to do the vertical first, the height of it first, 1 and h minus 2. So this is position 0, and this one is position, in this instance, it's 20. So, oh no, it's not 20, it's 19, because that's how coordinates work. So 0, and that's 19. So we need to start from here, which would be 1, and this would be the length of the h minus 2. So that would be whatever, 18. So that will now get us the h coordinates, so the vertical coordinate, the y as it were. And then we can do the same thing, random.randint, if I'll just copy and paste it. And we'll do the width minus 2. There we go. Good. So that now has created us some coordinates of the food, which is really, really good. So once we've got our coordinates of the food, we may as well just draw the food to the screen. And we do this quite easily. We just say, okay, add a character to the screen using the add.ch function. And we give it the y coordinate first, followed by the x coordinate. Okay. Now, in order to do this, what this food equals random here does is it creates, effectively, it creates like a, let's say it's picked something like that. It creates a list like this where the first item here is the y coordinate and the second item is the x coordinate. So this one is food 0 and this one is food 1. Food 0, food 1. So it goes there to those positions, and then we're going to draw the character that we want to draw. My food for this game, I'm just going to use an O. There we go. And that would draw the character O on there. There we go. Good. So now we've drawn the O in place. Once all that's done, in fact, let me just tidy this up. Let's just move these down so they're a bit closer together. So we are definitely to get within my 100 lines of code. That is the outer loop, the main the outer loop set up for the overall game. Now we're going to go into the inner moving loop. Okay, so we create a new loop, and this is the loop that's going to keep repeating until you crash into a wall or you eat yourself. Okay, so how do we do this? Well, first of all, we redraw the border at the start each time, and we go and get the key that was just been pressed. So there we go, win.getch. Getch. So what this means now is that basically one of two things is going to happen. This will actually sit in this the getch bit here. It will wait in this line of code until a key has been pressed, or until this timeout has occurred. So either we'll get a timeout, or we will we'll either wait at 500 milliseconds, or as soon as they press a key, then we will move on beyond here. So this is the bit that actually blocks it up to 500 milliseconds, and it waits there. Okay, so what happens if they do press a key? Well, if they do press a key, we need to set the new direction of the snake. So let's do that now. So here we go. So if the key that they've pressed is one of the arrow keys, so if key in, let's define that, curses dot key up, curses dot key down, there we go, oops, key up, key down, curses dot key left, curses dot key down. There we go. So if they press one of those keys, then if they've just pressed one of those keys, then we set the direction. Let me just zoom out because that's looking a bit, there you go, you can see that a little better. I'll zoom back in a minute. If they press one of those keys, then we will set the direction equals whatever key they've just pressed. There we go. Good. Oh, no, not keep. I don't want that. There we go. So if the key is in key up, key down, key left, or key right. Oh, that's not right. Key right. Up, down, left, right. So if it's one of those, we set the direction to whatever that key is, which is good. So now we've got all those. Let's just zoom back in. We can leave that down now. Here we go. So what do we do once we've got that key press? Well, now what we need to do is we need to add a new part to the snake. So what we do here is we go head equals snake 0.copy. And what this, oh, we've got a snake. There we go. And what this means is we're going to go to the snake and get the first item of the snake and copy it. So if you look here, there's my snake. So at the very beginning of the game, it will go and get this first item of the snake here, which is 1013, and it will copy it, or make a copy of that item. And we're going to use that now in a second. So there we go. Snake.copy. And all we need to do now is go back through, there we go, and we just test that direction that they've just entered. So if the direction that they've just entered, that we just set here, equals up. So if the direction is key up, then what we do is we need to move the snake up. So if the head is here, and our y coordinate of the head, which is this first one here, is 10, we'll have to change that to 9. So we're going to minus 1 from it. So we go to the head, we get the first item, the head, which is the y coordinate, and we do minus equals 1, which means change it by minus 1. Good, excellent. So there we go. So that's pretty much it for the up. We need the same thing for the down and the left and the right. So let's just change those. So up, down. Now the down is the same idea, but this time if we're not gonna, if they're moving down, then this number needs to increase. So it's not minus equal 1, it's plus equals 1. And we'll change that to Aleph. Here we go. If they press left, then this time we're not changing the y coordinate, which is this one. We're changing the x coordinate, which is number 1. So we're going to change the second item, and that's going to be minus 1. And then, there we go. And we've got right, which is going to be plus 1. Okay, there we go. Good. So now our snake, hopefully, should start moving. Let's have a look. Okay. So once we've done that, now we've taken that head that we've just made a copy of, and we have changed the coordinates of the new part of the head that we had. Now we will need to do is take that new head and put it back into the snake at position 0. So we need to insert it into the snake. So we do snake.insert, and we're going to put that head, there we go, snake.insert at position 0. So it's going to put it at the very beginning of the snake, and then we'll put head. There we go. Good. So that now should insert it at the correct position. Good. There we go. Brilliant. Now, let's have a go at that. What we'll do at the end of each tick of the clock, so to speak, we'll just clear the screen. There we go. Oh, do we need that? No, actually, we'll leave that. We might be okay without it. Let's find out. I don't think we need to do that. Let's just save that now, and let's see if our game is looking somewhere near running. I need to go into my snake folder, Python space snake.py. Hey, where's my snake gone? Okay. Okay, yep. I've done everything apart from actually draw the snake on the screen. So that's a bit silly, isn't it? Let's just kill that. There we go. So we've inserted the snake, and now we've got the correct list for the snake. But of course, we need to actually draw that snake onto the screen. So, well, how do we do that? Well, we do win.addChat. There we are. And we're going to go to that head that we've just added. There we go. And we're going to draw it in there. Head 0. In fact, actually, we can use the snake, can't we? Let's do that. So let's do snake brackets 0, because we're going to get the head of the snake, and then we're going to get the first coordinate of the head, and then we're going to do snake. There we go. And there we go. It is. There we go. Where's that? There you go. Snake. And that's going to be the first coordinate of the snake, but it's going to be 1. There we go. And at that position, we're going to need to draw hashtag or something, whatever we're going to do for the snake. There we go. So hopefully now that might actually draw something on the screen rather than being a very boring screen. Let's find out, shall we? Hey, there we go. Good. So now you can see that our snake is slowly but surely starting to move. Okay. Oops, what gone wrong there? I've obviously done something right here. Oh, there it is. There it is. Look. That's what I've done wrong there. I've done things thrown too far out. There we go. Oops. So we go up is working, left is working, down is working, right is working. Good. Excellent. So my snake is now working, just about. But then as soon as I get to the end of the screen, it should then crash because it's like, oh, what's going on? Okay. You'll have also noticed, of course, that my snake is in fact just keep on growing. Okay. Now it shouldn't just keep on growing. It should only grow when it eats food. So how do we stop it from growing? Well, that's actually pretty straightforward. All we need to do really is if they aren't eating any food at that moment in time, then what we do, if we aren't eating food at that moment in time, then we delete a bit of the tail. And that's actually quite easy because all we need to do here is we need to say, okay, if the head, whatever the coordinates of the head is, equals the food, which of course is the same thing because the food, where's my food gone? There it is, there, look, woomph. So if my head is the same as food, we know that we need to grow, which is fine. But if it's not equal to food, then we need to delete the tail. So we could do, if the head doesn't equal food, there we go. If the head doesn't equal food, so if we're not eating, then we need to delete a bit of the tail. How do we do that? Well, we do tail equals snake.pop. Snake.pop. There we go. And what that will do is pop always gets the end of the list. So here, this pop will pop that one there, the end of the list, and get that one. So it will remove that coordinate here from the end of the list, but it will also return it and save it in the tail variable. So now we can use that because we've got that value there, and we can just delete the tail by doing win.add_char, and there we go. We'll get the tail 0, comma the tail 1. There we go. There we go. And so we'll go to that coordinate, and all we need to do to get rid of the tail is we'll just draw an empty space in there. There we go. Good. There we go. Enter. So now we're moving along, and you can see there that as we move along, every time it moves, it just deletes its tail. And I'm hoping now if I touch this apple, there we go. There you go. You can see now it's drawn. There we go. And it's come along and it's grown a little bit, which is good. Excellent. Good. So once we've done that, now our apple is grown. There we go. Which is good. So if it's not eating the food, it will then delete its tail. But what happens if it is eating the food? So if it is touching, what do we got to do there? Well, in this case, what we need to do here is we need to create a new thing for the food. So the way that we do this is we do food equals none because we've got no food now. It's been deleted. And we say, okay, while not food, we need to keep repeating looking for a place where that new food can be. So we say new food equals random, the same as before actually, exactly the same as before. So actually I'm just going to cheat and I'm just going to copy and paste it. There we go. Here we go. Here we go. Random.randint. Here we go. While not food. There we go. While not food, new food equals that one, which is good. So we go and generate a new location for the food. And if the new food is not in snake, then food equals new food. There you go. Good. And there we go. And win.add_char food, comma 0, comma food, comma 1, comma, big O. There we go. Good. Brilliant. So let's just talk about this. So what we did here is, in order to put the food on the game now, what we need to do is keep repeating until we find a place where the snake isn't, so that we can put the new food in the snake. Put the new food on the board. So what do we do? Well, we set the food to nothing, and then we keep on repeating until food is something. And each time round, we just pick a new random location like we did before. And if that new location for the food is not in the snake, in other words, it's not in the list of coordinates that the snake has, then we know it's safe. So we set the food equals a new food, and then we add the character food. There we go. Add it to there. There we go. So let's have a look at that and let's see how that goes. Here we go. Good. Let's run that. There we go. So we're starting off. Here we go. We're going along, going along, going along. There you go. And yeah, now you can see we've gone up to 4 instead of 3. Here we go. Good. Let's try that one more. Make sure it is actually working. Good. And there we go. Good, 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 good. Okay, so now what we've got is we've got the basics of it's working, which is good. But what we now need to do is we need to code in for the 2 reasons that you might die. So there's a few reasons you might die. The first reason you might die is you might go off the end. And the second reason is you might be touching and eating yourself, eating your snack. So how do we code in for that? Well, what we need to do here is we just need to check and make sure that after we've moved our head, when we've moved our head to the new position, we just check that we are not actually touching anything that we shouldn't be touching. So how do we do that? Well, let's have a look at that. So the first thing we want to do is we want to see if the new head that we're there, if the head that we've just, we've got the new location for, is that going through the top or the bottom of the top or the bottom of the screen. So we can do that quite easy. So if the y coordinate of the head is in the either 0, so that's the top of the screen, or the height of the window -1, that's the bottom of the screen, we know that's a problem. Or if the head is on the left hand side, so the head 1, which is the x coordinate, how far on left and right it is in either 0 or the width of the screen -1. There we go. Oops. 0, width -1. There we go. If it's either of those two, then we know that it's game over. Okay. So we can break on that. Okay. We can break out of the loop and go to it. But before we break out of the loop, we want to set our score. Okay. Now the score equals the length of the snake. So, which is fine. But of course, our snake already starts at 3. So that's like cheating. You can't get a score of 3 just for existing, because that's not good enough. So we'll set it to -3. So we set our score to whatever the length of the snake is, -3. There we go. Good. Good. Of course, the other thing we need to check as well is to see, well, what happens if our snake eats itself? So we need to check that. Now that's actually incredibly easy, because we can say, okay, so if it's any of those, or if the head is in the snake. There we go. There we go. Good. Actually, if we're going to do that, then we'll have to do that afterwards. Otherwise, it'll always be in the snake. There we go. There we go. Good. So we'll just move that to there so it does that there. There we go. So now, here we go. We've got our score. And that should now, here we go. That should remember our score, actually. Let's have a look. Good. And that will break out of here. Let's just see if that works, actually. Oh, it won't work yet because we need to go to the next screen. Okay. So before we can do that and get that working, now that we've got the inner one working, we need to come back out to the main outer loop here. And we need to set up our outer loop. So that's only indented by 1. Make sure it's only indented by 1, not by 2. And now we need to do the game over the screen. So let's just do a nice simple screen first. Clear the screen. Put the border around again. There we go. Add a new border. And then let's just do, okay. How are we going to do this? Okay, message 1. Let's just put game over. There we go. Game over. Good. And we'll do our score. Score is, and it's going to be whatever our score is. There we go. So there we go. That's the first part of our message. And then we'll do message 2. There we go. Message 2 equals press enter to go. Yep. Press enter to play again. And then message 3 equals press Q to quit. Press Q to quit. There we go, good. So those are our messages. So we created 3 strings there with the messages. And all we need to do now is add each of those strings to the screen. So we can do win.addString. There we go. And the position. Good. Okay, so what we need to do here is we'll just put this at the start. Let's have a look. So let's do that on line 1. For the moment, we'll just do it line 1, and that'll be message 1. And we'll add all 3 of those there. There we go. Let's do all 3 of those. We're going to move those in a minute, so because you'll see they're a bit out of place. But let's just do that 1. There we go. And we'll do that line 2 and line 3. There we go. 2, 2. We'll change these in a minute because you'll see what the problem is. So we'll display that onto there. Good. There we go. Good. Now we'll need to refresh those to refresh the screen to put those in place. Win.refresh. Here we go. And all we need now is a loop just to see whether we press the Q for quit or enter to play again. Okay, good. So the key equals the window.getChar. GetChar, there we go. And there's 2 possibilities. So if the key is in 10 or 13, which are the 2 codes for the enter key, then we break. We just break out of the loop. Which is fine. Breaking out of this loop here, so break out this inner loop here, so it'll break. If this key is any of these 2 keys, we break out of the loop, which will then take us back up to the loop and restart the game again. But if the key in ordinal Q, if we press the Q button, there we go, ordinal Q button, or the big Q, ordinal big Q button. There we go. So if the key that they've pressed is either Q or big Q, then we return. Now the way that that works is returns us from the function. Of course, our function is this function, so it would return from the main function, which would then go back to the curses.wrapper, clean everything up, put your cursor back up, and fix everything. Okay, there we go. Now, ordinal Q and ordinal Q. If you've ever studied ASCII, you'll know that the ASCII code for each letter, every letter of the alphabet, in fact, every character ever, has its own unique code, each number, which is what you've got here, these numbers. But if you're being lazy and you can't bother looking up what the value for Q is, then you can just put ordinal Q and that will find the ASCII code for the Q. So all it's doing here is it's finding the ASCII code for Q, little q and big Q, and replacing them. So effectively they become numbers like these, but the actual Q value, which is like, I don't know, 93 or something, I can't remember. Not 93. No, it'd be like 70, 78, 80. Well, whatever. Anyway, so hopefully now that should, our game over screen, should prompt us up with a game. Let's have a look. Nope, that's gone completely crazy. Good. What's happened there? Let's have a look. Let's just run that again. I have broken something. Let's have a look. Let's just zoom out. What have I done here? Okay, well that needs to be moved in because that needs to go in the outer loop here, which is there. So by the looks, it keeps crashing into game over straight away, doesn't it? Game over, game over, game over. Okay, so I've done something wrong here. Let me have a look. I'll just pause this. Let me have a quick look at this. It's this code here that's broken. Let's have a look. What I'll do is, let's find out which bit is. So what I'll do here is I'll just do a pass. There we go. And let's find out which one is actually causing it. So let's have a look there. So is it that it's the heads in the snake, or is it that it's touching the 0? Let's have a look. Let's just get rid of that. Let's run that. Oh, there we go. So I'm just putting a bit of debugging code here to see what's happening. There you go. So it is, the head is in the snake. Why is my head in the snake? Head 0, head 1. Direction is key. I wonder if it's Elif. I wonder if it's that's causing it. This should be Elif. Let's just try that. That could be a subtle reason why, but I don't think it's causing it. Nope. So if my head 0 is width. Why is that causing that? Okay, I see what the problem is. Okay. Yes, that's not too bad. Okay. So what we'll do here, I've just realized what the problem was. Let's just delete that back, or head in snake. So what the problem is of course, I set my snake here to start off with position this one, yeah? So this bit, then this bit, then this bit, okay? With this being the head of this being the head of the snake, and this being the tail of the snake. But then, of course, I immediately set the key to start going right. So at the very right start of the game, my snake is going from the head right back into itself. So that's a bit silly. So let's set its key to left instead, so that he'll continue this way rather than that way. Let's have a look at that. Let's try that again. There we go. That's better, isn't it? There we go. A little subtle little error there. Okay, good. So now it's going the right way. Good, and that's working properly. Let's just crash that. There you go. So you get the game over. I've just realized what's happened here is what we've got there. We've got game over, game over, game over. And that's because here we need to change this to message 1, 2, and 3. So let's save that. Let's try that again. Q and run that again. Python snake.py. Here we go. Let's see if that's working now. There you go. Game over, score, press to play. That's okay. Now, the only thing we've got at the moment is this here is appearing at the top of here. Ideally, we want this to appear in the middle of the screen. So we need to use a similar technique to before to make sure it's positioned in the center. Okay, so to put these messages in the center, we're going to have to change this bit slightly. So the height is going to be, well, we're going to start in the middle, so that'll be the height divided by 2. But this top message is going to appear just below, just in front of the middle. So we're going to use the height divided by 2 minus 1. This one is going to appear height-wise right in the middle, and this one is going to appear height minus height divided by 2, but plus 1. There we go. There we go. You can see that there. That's making more sense, isn't it? There we go. That's fine. And then as for the middle, here we go. Oops, what's doing there? There you go. As for the middle, for the the X coordinate, we do the same sort of thing, but this time round, we need to work out what the width is, and then we do the length of the message. So we do the width of the box minus the length of the message, because obviously that's going to change, minus the length of the length divided by 2. There we go. Which is the same as what we did before, actually, identical as before. So let's do that. There we go. And that will get it exactly in the middle. So we're doing this whole kind of the full width minus the thing we're going to put in the width, and then we're going to divide that by 2. There we go. Let's have a look. So we'd put that in there, put that in there, put that in there. That'll be message 2. That will be message 3. There we go. Let's move that along a bit so you can just, you don't have to put all these spaces in. I'm just trying to make it clear and easier to copy, so you can see what's going on. There we go. There we go. 1, 2, and 3. There we go. Good, good. So now if we save that and we run the program again, so Q, quit. Oh, why is that not working? There we go. Let's just kill that. There we go. So now our snake moves. Let's make sure it can eat some food. There we go. Oh, let's eat a bit more food. And let's get my snake to eat itself. There you go. And good. So it prints the game over screen. And if I press enter, it will then play again and we can keep going. All right, well, there you go. So that is how you create Snake in Python in the console, just using the curses module. Thank you very much. If you have any requests for games, then just pop them on a comment on the video, and I'll happily, if there's any requests for games or other tutorials, those sorts of things, and I'll happily make them for you. Thank you very much.